We back. So I'm studying classical Greece and ancient Egypt simultaneously, man. So I'm gonna start to connect the dots. We're gonna get to the roots of all of this stuff. I'm putting the time in. I'm just gonna put the time in, man. So last time we learned about the mastabas, aka the origin of the pyramids. I started to go into the step pyramid, but let's actually, hell yeah, let's walk through this shit, man. We're gonna start with Djoser. This starts with Djoser, so let's get into Djoser, man. Let's get it. Let's do this. We locked in. We getting it in. Okay, so I was already here. So here it is right here, y'all. So I'm the young Egyptian boy. I forget his name. So learn about the layout of the first stone monument erected by mankind. The Step Pyramid Complex of Djoser. In Africa, y'all. In Africa.
Welcome to the Step-Pyramid Complex of Djoser. The Step Pyramid is the first monument built of stone. Standing at 60 meters high, it was the tallest of its time. Built 4,700 years ago, it was originally intended as a mastaba, which was a flat-roofed rectangular tomb.
Yep.
Its famous architect,
Imhotep,
may have felt this was too humble for the great pharaoh Djoser and began to add the steps.
Yep, so this is the model right here. So it started with the mastaba. Shout out to Imhotep. Let me see, I think I've done these already. Alright, so we're going inside. Alright, here we go.
The Hebsed festival enabled the pharaoh to maintain universal order and renew godly powers. Through a series of trials and religious rites, such as dance, offerings, and visiting the sanctuaries of various deities, the ruler's vital force and divine nature was confirmed. The celebration was meant to represent the ruler's jubilee and would take place every 30 years, though the deadline was not always followed. The earliest known ritual dates from the first dynasty.
Alright, so we got scenes from a king's 30-year jubilee. This is from the 4th dynasty. So it's did they say it's an annual festival? The Hebsed festival enabled the pharaoh to maintain universal order and renew godly powers.
Within the complex of Djoser, southeast of the pyramid, is a dedicated space for this essential ritual to be performed by the king even in the afterlife. The Hebsed courtyard is lined with false chapels and equipped with a platform featuring 2 staircases meant to represent Upper and Lower Egypt.
So this is the staircase in the Hebsed courtyard. Okay, we're getting this information. Oh, his name is Reda. Reda.
Located in the courtyard, the 2 pavilions are believed to represent the palaces of Upper and Lower Egypt. Rectangular in shape, the 2 replica structures face one another. Their facade is similar to the chapels of the Hebsed ceremony, with column crowns carved to look like falling leaves. Because Queen Hetep-Hernepti and Princess Inetkas's names were discovered on a stela near the pavilions, it is thought that these funerary chapels were intended for them.
Hetep-Hernepti. 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 Man, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Because why is Reda? Why does he look like this? Why did they choose Reda?
The funerary temple is on the north side of the complex, facing the stars where the deceased ruler was believed to travel after death. Within this temple was the pharaoh's serdab, or cellar. It is a small, enclosed space with one wall sloped to match the first step of the pyramid.
Very interesting, man. Alright, let's go to the next station before we head inside Djoser Step-Pyramid. We're getting a virtual tour. There we go. Oh,
the north
shit.
wall has two observation holes. A statue of Djoser is seated on the throne, wearing a mantle and a tripartite wig with a crown known as a Nemes. Representing the king's Ka, this statue looks through the observation holes into the courtyard, enabling the king to observe the ceremonies and receive offerings in the afterlife.
Ooh, hold on, I gotta see this. The Step-Pyramid of Djoser. Hold on. This is Djoser and the north wall. Okay, observation hole. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's where that image comes from. So the game put a face on there, but in actuality the face is destroyed. So the game redid the face. I wonder what the original face looked like. Why are they defaced? To me, the original face looked like an African. The reason I say that is because it has big ears, and it has bigger and different lips than the game put, and then the nose is just destroyed. So you can't really see the nose. The nose is destroyed. But if anyone's seen this, this is the way that white people caricatured black people. Big ears, big mouth. This is how this statue looks to me. Let me see. I'm gonna drop the link so anybody who watches could take a look and see what I'm looking at. The game made this the statue look like a Caucasian, but when I look at this, I see an African. So alright, we're gonna head inside, man. It's only right. So inside Djoser's Step-Pyramid. Now we go inside.
Welcome to Inside Djoser's Step-Pyramid.
Wait, what does it say? Oh, equip your torch.
The architect of the Step-Pyramid, Imhotep, was a man of great importance to Pharaoh Djoser and ancient Egyptians in general. The base of a statue of Djoser, discovered in 1926, celebrates Imhotep as a carpenter, sculptor, stonemaker, and chief of the seers. Little is known of Imhotep's day-to-day life. While he is credited for writing medical texts, It is for his role of architect that he is most famously known.
Okay, that's Imhotep, designer of the Step-Pyramid for Djoser.
From the design of the pyramid to the elements within the complex itself, Imhotep set out to create something that would immortalize his king. An architectural achievement, the Step-Pyramid was made from stone blocks instead of mud brick. It was the first time Egyptians built a monument of that height. Imhotep explicitly intended for the stone to reflect natural materials. The funerary complex of Djoser remained famous throughout the centuries and millennia, and its great architect, Imhotep, was deified by ancient Egyptians during the late period. In addition to the central subterranean palace built for Djoser, 11 wells were dug. Each went to a depth of 33 meters and connected with a horizontal gallery extending for about 20 meters. The first 5 galleries were intended for members of the royal family.
Vertical section looking west in the pyramids of Giza from actual survey and ad measurement by J.S. Perring. Detail 1839 to 1842, New York Public Library Digital Collections. We are inside Djoser's pyramid. Pause.
Two passages lead underground and branch off in 3 directions to various magazine galleries. This vast underground space accommodated sections for storage and ceremonial offerings. One of the tunnels, starting on the east side of the pyramid, contained 40,000 stone vessels, many of them belonging to the king's ancestors.
40,000 stone vessels. So this is just families trying to hide their wealth. But it don't make sense because they like putting it in something that's gonna garner a lot of attention. It's just kind of stupid. Damn, did I skip one?
From the design of the pyramid to the elements within the complex itself, Imhotep set out to create something that would immortalize his king. An architectural achievement, the Step-Pyramid was made from stone blocks instead of mud brick. It was the first time Egyptians built a monument of that height.
Did I go backwards? What the hell just happened, bro?
Intended for the stone to reflect natural
How did I
materials.
end up going the wrong direction like that?
The funerary complex of Djoser remained famous throughout the centuries and millennia.
I literally got lost inside the damn pyramid.
Was deified by ancient Egyptians during the late period.
Alright, here we go.
The burial chamber of Djoser is located at the bottom of a 28-meter deep central shaft. According to Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Lauer, the chamber was originally made from polished blocks of limestone, while its ceiling was decorated in 5-pointed stars. At some point, however, the limestone blocks were replaced entirely by pink granite blocks, leaving behind only fragments of limestone blocks decorated with stars.
This is crazy.
At the foot of the chamber are many tunnels going in all directions. This maze of tunnels, galleries, and chambers stretches over 5 kilometers. There are a number of dead ends and false doors. They may have been intended for the afterlife, rather than to fool thieves.
For the Ka, something about the spirit of the Ka, their belief system led them to do that.
Unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza, or Menkaure, the Pyramid of Djoser does not have any extra openings dug out by thieves. There was no need for them. Because of the easy access into the tunnels and along the corridors, thieves had little trouble clearing out the temples once inside. It is unknown when the mummy of Djoser was stolen. All that remained was a left foot, found by French Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Lauer in 1934. This architect, who devoted his whole life to meticulously exploring the complex, believed it belonged to Djoser.
Trying to uncover the past, man, because people done did shit and we don't know exactly what happened.
The pharaoh's apartments, also known as the Blue Chambers, are decorated with blue-green tiles meant to imitate the reed matting that covered the walls and windows of his palace. The stone is carefully curved and painted to look like the rolled mats of open doorways and curtains.
They did a lot for their goddamn pharaohs, man. This is crazy.
There are two long rooms running side by side along a north-south axis. The south room has false doors separated by stone panels, while the north room is a corridor which allows access to side chambers. Nearby chambers originally housed the pharaoh's treasures. The door frames are made of fine limestone and carved with the king's name. As in the south tomb, reliefs are carved into the doorways. These reliefs show the king performing rituals and visiting divine sanctuaries for all eternity. Their interiors are fictive additions made by the team to add to the wonders of the tomb. It is clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this funerary monument was a technological marvel of its time.
Alright, we got through that. That was inside the tomb, so I'm learning a little bit. I just see a lot of like, they do a lot for these pharaohs, bro. It's like, yo. And then the way they was doing stuff wasn't necessarily smart. I understand trapdoors, this and that. But you think people ain't gonna raid those tombs, yo? People are gonna find this shit, but it's crazy, yo. How much they had stashed, bro. This is crazy. Look, found the stash spot. They couldn't secure it. People ran up in there. Took the king's body. Like, yo, what y'all do with the fucking body, yo? What y'all niggas do with the body, bro? History needs to know, man. Damn. They said there's a bunch of false doors and shit. I did see someone's tomb or sarcophagus at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston like 20 years ago when I was a kid. It was such an eerie experience, man. Like, you could like feel something. And I'm a kid like experiencing that. So there's no conspiracy. No conspiracy. I'm gonna do another one. So now we could go into the Great Pyramid. So we learned about Djoser's pyramid, the Step-Pyramid. Riddles of the Sphinx. Khufu's funerary complex. Let's go. Let's do it. Why not? Why not? Learn about Khufu's funerary complex.
Khufu's funerary complex. The Valley Temple was the first architectural component encountered when one entered the funerary complex. It was considered the official entrance of the tomb and mixed the structural components of both a temple and a portico. Khufu's Valley Temple shows evidence of a basalt pavement, letting us know where the portico portion of the structure was located. Such a partition is believed to symbolize both the subterranean and solar aspects of the afterlife.
Ah, I see. So I kind of want to check this out. Hold on. I'm gonna have to replay this game from scratch, man. I think it's worth it. Got a lot of good information in here.
Khufu's causeway ran from the floodplain up to the plateau, linking together the Valley Temple and the Mortuary Temple. A traditional causeway presented itself as a paved path, enclosed by walls and often roofed.
Alright, I'm losing my span of attention, so I'm gonna keep this one short. And I'm gonna be bouncing back and forth between classical Greece, ancient Egyptian history. So you gotta just keep going, man. Keep chipping away. I'm gonna keep chipping and chipping and chipping away. Khufu's causeway ran from the floodplain up to the plateau, linking together the Valley Temple and the Mortuary Temple. Okay, I see that. A traditional causeway presented itself as a paved path enclosed by walls and often roofed. This is crazy. Nah, hold on. Wait, we're gonna keep going a little bit more. This history, man. Do history, bruh. Do history.
Fragments discovered by archaeologists indicate that the walls in Khufu's causeway, one of the longest known to us, were decorated with carvings and possibly paint. Depictions show a great variety of themes. Stars on the ceiling, accompanied by scenes of battles on the walls. Other engravings depicted the creation of the complex by illustrating craftsmen at work.
That's fire. Shout out to the craftsman, man. Shout out to the artist. The one with the craft.
The most impressive private cemeteries of Giza are located east and west of Khufu's
Those are the
pyramid.
mastabas.
The eastern cemetery was reserved for members of the royal family, while the western cemetery was mostly set aside for various court dignitaries. In both areas, private tombs, also known as mastabas, were aligned and laid out methodically in streets and avenues. This arrangement was probably an attempt at recreating the king's court for the afterlife.
I'm seeing extreme classism, man. And I ain't saying these are the only niggas that do it. I know a lot of different societies and cultures practice this, but I don't like it. I think it gives the illusion that some people are special. Like, I know you need leaders and whatnot. Like, I understand the importance of leaders, because if you don't have a leader, like, you're not gonna survive. But my whole thing is like, you can honor your leader, but deifying your leader, I
To the east
understand
of
it, but
Khufu's
nah.
pyramid reside three smaller constructions, the three Queen's Pyramids. A sloping passage led from the ground surface to a burial chamber, cut out of the bedrock and lined with masonry. If it seems quite certain that these monuments were intended for Queen's burials, the identity of the original occupants is hard to assess.
Alright, so let's switch up this title. Inside the Pyramid of Djoser and Khufu's Khufu, that's an African name. Sounds African. It don't sound Middle Eastern to me.
The northernmost pyramid was most likely meant for Queen Hetepheres, who is believed to have been Khufu's mother. However, in 1925, her actual tomb was discovered nearby by accident. It was hidden at the bottom of a deep masonry pit in an underground chamber. Within the concealed chamber, Egyptologists discovered the most complete royal funerary equipment, dating from the Old Kingdom, though her body was missing.
Damn, took her body. Wild.
Within the vicinity of Khufu's pyramid, Egyptologists have uncovered 7 boat pits. The exact function of such boat-shaped pits remains unconfirmed, though one can easily conjecture that it was symbolic in nature. The boat pits being located at the eastern side of the pyramid, at the precise spot where the resuscitated king was supposed to reappear, could constitute evidence to support such an assumption.
Huh. Boat pits. Didn't expect that.
The 2 southern boat pits, each covered by a roof of huge limestone slabs, were discovered in 1954 by Kamal al-Malak, an Egyptian Egyptologist. Only one of them had been opened. 1,224 boat parts made of cedar wood were retrieved one by one and patiently reassembled by the master restorer Ahmed Youssef. This process took 28 years. Youssef worked by following lines of mortise and tenon joints and by stitching parts together with vegetable ropes, all in order to keep the design as authentic as possible.
Hold on.
The 2 southern boat pits, each covered by a roof of huge limestone slabs, were discovered in 1954 by Kamal al-Malak, an Egyptian Egyptologist. Only one of them had been opened.
28 years.
1,224 boat parts made of
Youssef,
cedar wood were retrieved one by one and patiently reassembled by the master restorer Ahmed Youssef. This process took 28 years. Youssef worked by following lines of mortise and tenon joints and by stitching parts together with vegetable ropes, all in order to keep the design as authentic as possible.
Alright, I found link to this. Trying to look into this a little bit deeper. He looks Egyptian. Egyptians, they tend to have their brow right over their eyes, close to the bridge of their nose. That's one thing I see from them.
The Greek term pyramidion refers to the capstone of a pyramid or the tip of an obelisk. In ancient Egyptian, both components were called benben. This word was also used for a specific kind of food, a cone-shaped offering made of bread. The pyramidion was intended to be a miniature reproduction of the pyramid, making it equal to the monument itself in symbolic importance.
Again, when you call things by Greek words, it'll skew the identity of it. These are all ways that Egypt is made to look less African. Like, even if you don't, a lot of people don't consider it African. They basically bow to the idea that these are like Middle Eastern people that live in Egypt and have always been in Egypt. This is essentially the claim. And what that does is it robs it of its African identity. I acknowledge, to me, I see different types of Egyptians, just like there are different types of like black people. So they don't necessarily need to all have the same exact appearance, but we're stuck on that.
A few pyramidia have been retrieved from pyramidal complexes. The earliest, found in Dashur, is undoubtedly a good example of Old Kingdom's pyramidia. It is made of limestone and has no inscriptions. Some engraved pyramidia were recovered from private funerary chapels. Their inscriptions all related to the solar symbolism of the benben.
Benben.
The pyramidia of the pyramids of Giza were never recovered. The reconstitution you see in the game is fictive, incorporating a golden pyramidion bearing inscriptions relevant to Khufu.
That's fire. Alright, so that was Khufu's funerary complex. We done climbed all the way up. These are the cemetery of mastabas. You got the queen's burial. They were buried in here. I forget what they called it, but this is belonging to the queens. Potentially the mother of Khufu was rested in one of them. Sorry, this is the cemetery mastabas. What is that? There's more over there. More mastabas over there. I gotta remember what they call this. But I'll replay the video. And then this is the causeway right here. And they said the causeway was decorated with art, painted perhaps. And we also learned about the pyramidions, the little mini pyramids. And also the pyramids have a pyramidion on top that were not recovered, but the game improvised to make it. So that was Khufu's causeway. And we also did what's it called? What's his name? Djoser Step-Pyramid. That was architectured by Imhotep. So next time I probably let me see. Whoa, we got someone's theories. Okay, we could go into the theories of the construction of the pyramid, of the Great Pyramid. Learn about Jean-Pierre Houdin's theories on ancient Egyptian construction techniques and the Great Pyramid. That's going to be very interesting. What is this? Hold on, where am I? Oh, we gotta get the torch again. Alright, I'm gonna end it here. I'll pick back up next time, and we'll go into this French dude's theories on the construction of the Great Pyramid. So I'm gonna assume I'm inside the Great Pyramid right now. Alright, y'all, until next time, appreciate it. Peace out.